At this point, every Toronto Raptors fan knows Pascal Siakam is an unrestricted free agent come this offseason and has been at the center of a bunch of trade rumors across the NBA. But one thing that has come out from Josh Lewenberg specifically regarding contract negotiations with Pascal Siakam this offseason, straight up inexcusable from Masai Ujiri and borderline disrespectful to a guy that's been your top option, especially over the past 3 years, has won a championship with your team that's been in your organization for a very long time. So we're going to break down what Masai Ujiri did, how it makes things extremely awkward in these negotiations going forward, and if it really could have an impact on Pascal Siakam in the future. So lots of stuff to dive into in this video. Before we do, folks, again, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Over 56% of our viewers are not subscribed to the channel, and if you want to stay up to date with all the latest Toronto Raptors news, keep it locked to Raptors Digest. But let's dive into basically this report came out from Josh Lewenberg, because again, the headline seems like another basic Pascal Siakam trade headline. Raptors expect to move or extend Pascal Siakam ahead of the trade deadline. Again, this has been reported by about 10 people over the past few days. We know Masai Ujiri is going to make a decision on whether or not he's going to extend Pascal or trade him. We're not entering a situation where Pascal Siakam actually enters unrestricted free agency and can leave the Toronto Raptors for nothing. So that's good to hear for Raptors fans, and Masai Ujiri's definitely turned things around, at least in the perspective of Raptors fans after the OG Anunoby trade, and I just made a video praising him about Jonte Porter, and just as I was about to close up shop and recording for the day, news dropped, this article I got to see from Josh Lewenberg, and frankly, it's embarrassing. It's embarrassing to kind of root for this team, and I'm still a big fan of Masai Ujiri, but what he did on this one is pretty inexcusable. So basically, we'll dive into this article as saying that, as one source close to the situation said, don't be so sure. It's a complicated, regarding about Pascal Siakam definitely leaving. It could go, it's a month before February 8th, and they could come to a new long-term contract. I wouldn't be surprised if the Toronto Raptors offered an extension, one league executive said. So, in other words, a wide range of potential outcomes could happen, and nobody can be so sure about the actual outcome. So again, stuff that we've heard, stuff that we kind of know across the NBA and things along those lines. But then Josh Lewenberg goes on to write that it's led a couple people across the league to wonder whether the Raptors' unusual and at times disrespectful treatment of Pascal Siakam dating back to last summer has intended to force his hand or worse, push him out. Something like this is hard to fathom if there's any truth to it, but it would be tougher to condone given what Siakam and the organization have meant to each other and have been through over the past 8 seasons. Siakam has come to Toronto very unknown, 27th overall pick. We know what Siakam sort of has, his story with this Toronto Raptors group. Won a championship, all-NBA guy, all-star, was a late first-round pick, and blossomed with the Toronto Raptors. Most improved, got that chip. Huge piece for this organization, one of the greatest Toronto Raptors of all times. And even Masai Ujiri said, I'm so proud of him at the end of last season and, returning from shoulder surgery and all that type of stuff. But I want that guy on my team. I want that kind of fighter on this roster. So publicly, again, Masai Ujiri didn't do anything wrong, but you see this word, this language, disrespectful in terms of what was used. Borderline disrespectful, unusual, that type of stuff. So what actually was that? So Lewenberg goes on to say that, but after a 2022-2023 disappointing end to the season and an embarrassing play-in loss to the Chicago Bulls, Ujiri and Toronto's front office cut off almost all communication with Pascal Siakam last summer, leading the 7-year veteran to wonder whether he was being punished, according to a league source close to the player. The lack of contact was especially strange with Siakam entering the final year of his contract. Typically, players of his caliber don't get close to free agency without signing an extension, but Ujiri's been very public message to Pascal Siakam on media day that you're gonna have to earn it. The natural implication being that he hadn't already, saying that he does believe in Siakam. We believe in a lot of our guys. Our players didn't play the right way last season, and we want to see them play the right way. I said that we were selfish, and I'm not running away from that. We were selfish. We did not play the right way, so let's see when we play the right way. So a lot of stuff there regarding Masai Ujiri's comments on Pascal Siakam. But the insane part of that, the ridiculous part of that, the embarrassing part of that is that he cut off communication with a guy that has been in your organization for 8 years. He's in a contract sort of extension, all that type of stuff. And after a season where you praise him publicly and all that, I mean, to cut off communication, to sort of almost push him out, as some league sources were saying, to make him feel like he was punished. After having one of the best seasons of his career, not putting the right type of roster around him, having him sort of blow up with the coach and things along those lines. I mean, again, Masai Ujiri is an elite general manager. We're seeing that play out this season. We'll see how he handles his Pascal stuff right now. But doing that is just inexcusable. Shoot him a text. Say, hey, how's your day going? Talk to him at least. Even if you avoid the contract extension sort of discussions, be like, what are you adding to your game? Pascal, what do you think about Fred VanVleet gone? What type of guard? What are your thoughts on the Schroeder stuff? Do you want, just talk to him. You don't have to let him dictate your franchise the same way LeBron James does. You don't need to, call him about every single move that you're going to make. But I mean, goodness gracious, you're supposed to have a tight relationship with this guy, Masai Ujiri. We're trying to build, there's all this talk of family and stuff with the Toronto Raptors. I don't know. It's inexcusable that this is how they kind of treated their star player, because, I mean, right now, it makes sense for the Toronto Raptors to extend Pascal, and now that's looking like more and more of a viable option. It's just making things awkward for zero reason. There's no sense. There's no real point in just outcasting, kind of shunning your best player. Even though Scotty's taking that leap maybe this season, that's debatable to some, but Pascal Siakam, definitely at the end of last year, was the Toronto Raptors' head over heels best player on the roster. So to do that to your guy, to your top dog, who you're potentially trying to bring back, I don't know. I think it's very foolish, a just stupid move by Masai Ujiri. Regardless, if you're on team, let's trade Pascal. Let's not give him that sort of contract extension. Let's not do anything along those lines. Even if you're in that camp, it doesn't make sense to sort of approach him and say, hey, let's push him out and stuff. And maybe Masai Ujiri kind of has that PTSD from being extremely tight with a guy like DeMar DeRozan and having to make a very tough decision in order to trade him away for Kawhi. Maybe thought Siakam was going to get dealt in the offseason, and it didn't happen. It ended up falling through. We knew how close an Atlanta Hawks trade was to happening, during the summer. So maybe there was something like that, but still, that's kind of cowardly from our GM. And again, I don't want to bash on Masai Ujiri because I think he's been overall head over heels an amazing GM for the Toronto Raptors, president of basketball operations, whatever role you want to title him in, because he's done both for the Raptors. But frankly, this is unacceptable. And if you're treating your star players like that, especially for a franchise that, again, has shedded this sort of reputation, but a place where that's not a free agent destination, where star players come to leave, right? That's what people used to say about the Toronto Raptors and stuff. That has kind of been turned on its head now with Kyle Lowry, with DeMar DeRozan re-signing. Obviously, Kawhi ended up leaving, but Fred VanVleet, who was an all-star, Pascal Siakam, who, has been all-NBA guy, number 2 option on championship-winning team, has been vocal about his desire to return to the Toronto Raptors. I mean, to treat a guy that wants to be with your organization, that loves the Toronto Raptors, that isn't old and washed by any means, that has won you a championship? I don't know. And maybe it's getting blown out of proportion. Maybe it's this, maybe it's normal behind the scenes, but I'd be shocked if that was reported by a guy like Josh Lewenberg, that, again, is very locked into the Toronto Raptors, that if this was just normal behavior for it to just be kind of discussed at this point in time. But I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. Frankly, I am just not happy with this sort of news, but let me know if you guys think. Am I overreacting to this? Let me know. I'm signing out. Cheers.